Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make a disclaimer in this video because I'm shooting from home. Of course, there are a lot of natural sounds. Oh, kuna birds here, the cows and the sheep and goats, because I do some very small household agriculture back home. Not agriculture, livestock rearing. Yeah, I hope I'm using the right agricultural word. Now, Veronica Maina flagged off a fake letter that was calling on UDA sympathizers to head to the street on Monday, tomorrow, to protest what would be a ratification of William Ruto's win. It's quite unfortunate. But before we look at that, I want to remind you first of Saratino's Fundraiser, that we are at the tail end of it. It's ending tomorrow on Monday. And we have been fundraising to support one of our own, Saratino, who has been in Kenyatta Hospital. And she was locked up there over a medical bill that went to 1 million. After doing a bit of fundraising, the only balance that remained was 215,000. So we made a 15 days extension that is ending tomorrow on 5th. With the only impending balance out of the 215, 37,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to reach out to you in a special way, that as we try to pull through, let's not tire, let's just try to reach this, to bring this to completion. We did just a donation challenge of 50 shillings with an aim that it will get to 1 million. And I can surely tell you that the support and the contribution is been amazing and quite a lot. I want to say that the messages have just been overwhelming, because other people send the 100, 50, 20 and all that. And of course, maybe I may not respond to all, but I believe that maybe after some time, I just want to have the database of all the numbers, and we'll also try to reach out to quite a number. We will just appreciate you for this. Thank you very much for supporting this noble cause. And let's just push in as we happen, and we plan to finish tomorrow. The number is up there, 0710 62 78 89. And we believe that God is going to help us. Now, the letter that was going around had the UDA party logo and signature, allegedly from Veronica Maina, and that the party had called on the public to come out publicly to protest about what will be overturning the will of the people. Remember, this is what is interesting about this. In the campaign trail, there was a political narrative by Kenya Kwanza that there were forces within government that were interested in pushing Raila presidency. And at some point, when Raila got the backing of Mount Kenya billionaires, he was also, William Ruto went out to say that few people will not sit in offices to decide the next president. So, as people wait for the Supreme Court verdict, allegedly this letter has come out. I want to categorically say that it has been flagged by the Secretary General, Veronica Maina. But I've always said this. I saw the fact check. The fact check story was carried by the Star. It was under the Code for Africa, United Nations program, I think. I had worked on that fact check program at some point, so I understand really a bit of it. So the fact that story is fact checked, first I want to say, how many people will consume the Star? How many people will access the social media pages of UDA party and Veronica Maina? And maybe to some point, some people might have got it. This is a narrative in the Supreme Court. This narrative about Supreme Court, I think it has been the narrative of protest in the wake of the Supreme Court case is not new, because at the hearing there was also another letter, and I think that one for Azimio was true that they were planning some vigil. But again, they came out and flagged off that letter, saying they flagged that letter, saying that it was a fake letter and they were not planning anything else. That in the wake of the Supreme Court hearing, at the start of the Supreme Court hearing, there was also another story of Azimio planning some night vigil, and I left it off and I said, 7 days vigil until the verdict comes out in Supreme Court. But all that, to me, I think is just the psychological warfare that is going on. Each and every camp wants to prepare their supporters psychologically for it. But is it a coincidence that immediately that letter of UDA emerged, the police issued some directive of blocking roads within Nairobi? There were some roads that were blocked within Nairobi. The movement was strained. And I want to believe that that advisory, that that Nairobi CBD advisory came after that letter emerged. So is it a coincidence, or the police intercepted national intelligence that there could be plans to cause that? And from where I am seated, I think the intelligence, the vigilance is high, and they're not going to wait for, they will actually have to, the National Security Council will have to understand what is the position of the court on the matter, so that they also plan. There is now this issue of security, so they plan for what is to be done, and if this is to happen, where security is deployed, police are deployed, and here and there. But then, does it mean that there was some intelligence, and that is why the movement restraints in some CBD areas, there was restraint of movement in some CBD areas? Because what probably could this be? But then, I want to tell you something about protests. It's in the Constitution. It's constitutional. However, it's very difficult to prescribe the behavior of the protester. The Constitution doesn't tell the protester how to, of course, it's written peaceful, but the word peaceful in it, normally I think it's normally silent when people get to the street. So the reason why I think, for me, I would not support any political side to take their supporters to the ground is, number one, it can be infiltrated by your opponents. Remember, if Azimio la Umoja, let's say UDA goes to the street protesting the same, if they protest, it can be in good faith, but your opponent can infiltrate and infiltrated to other things. Number two, not even political opponents. It's an opportunity for the desperate Kenyan voter, illicit Kenyans, to rob innocent Kenyans. It will be an opportunity for irate Kenyans to do mugging, to rob people, and destroy people's properties of innocent people. Then with that, it loses its own cause. Because when you try and it's done, what normally happens the next time police says, no protest. That's all I say. So it's something that needs to be very careful about. Number two, well, this is something that people have always looked at, but the conflict between the police and the Kenyan public and the protester normally spreads like bushfire. And when it spreads the whole country, we will not want a situation where the country is painted with protests. At the end of the day, we have all agreed. Azimio la Umoja have said we are going to accept the verdict. William Ruto on the other side, I think, have believed we are going to accept the verdict. So I think this should not extend to that level. Now, there is no levels of restraint, guys. There is no levels of restraints. Like, I remember when the president-elect was announced, I was in, by that time I was around Jacaranda, around that area. And you could see people who went, they were dancing, and doing all sorts of things. And some were there now mocking some Azimio supporters that were standing by roadside. And then there is a bit of that. So that interpersonal conflict can also emerge when people are given that leeway, that opportunity. So if UDA were planning something like that and intelligence intercepted, and so it was flagged fake, but then they should not look at it that way, because I can tell you that people are very bitter. In fact, even if you celebrate with restraint, with some decorum, with decency. I remember this was said by Amos Kimunye, that celebrate with decency, because not everyone is celebrating. It's the same as the internal bitterness. Look at what happened at the by-elections. If the election is upheld and you support William Ruto and you want to celebrate, it's fine. But then you should also make sure that you should also understand that, of course, on the other end, some other people are not comfortable with it. So the bitterness is also there. Guys, that is why I believe that if there was such and it was intercepted by the national intelligence, then no one should think about taking his supporter to the road. And that is my bold.